In this section of the program, we're going to talk about the financial myths and mistakes people make about understanding finances and investing, and also understanding debt, and give you some other ideas that might be helpful. One of the main financial myths is that people said there are good debt and bad debt. Yes, there might be debt to start a business or buy a house. You think that's good debt, but in reality, all debt is bad. I always say debt is the devil. And once we focus on paying out debt and getting rid of debt, you'll really feel the true freedom that you've always deserved. They say pay yourself first, which means, oh, put money in retirement, put money in a savings account. All those things do not make you the amount of money you could make by paying off your home, for example, where you're making over 200 or 300% return on your money. That is really, truly the best investment. It amazes me when people have money in a savings account that are getting almost 0% return when they could just pay the bank toward the principal of the loan and make over 200% return on your money. And that's the way I want you to start thinking about those things. The same idea, why would you pay off a 3% interest rate on your house when you can make 7% in the stock market? In reality, it is not a 3% interest rate. It's a 200 or 300% interest rate. When you see that, then you'll see, well, I think that's better than even 7%. Most people say, well, I'm going to try to buy the most expensive house that I can afford, which can put you out to a 30-year mortgage. You don't want more than a 15-year mortgage, whatever. If you can afford a 15-year mortgage, then yes, but by stretching out to 30 years, that's when really all that interest builds up quickly. Another myth that people talk about, this emergency fund. And like I said before, people try to put so much money in emergency fund and then they keep spending it, and they're focusing on building it up and never start paying off debt. When we talk about this, debt starts tomorrow, paying off debt tomorrow. And that will be the first one you do is a credit card, so you have an emergency fund. Remember, the idea of automation is the best way to get out of debt automatically. Beginning the month, just like a tax that you're going to have to pay, it comes right out and focuses on your specific debt that you're working on. And we have a game plan. We've talked about that. College funding myth. Really, children can actually work and go to school and basically take out their own loans. But in reality, once you're debt free, you will have the ability to pay for your children's education. And one of the best ways is create a Roth IRA for them and fund it and invest in these dividend investment stocks that we're going to talk about next. The idea, if I just had more money, you see so many people with more money. Are they happy? Happiness comes with the idea that you are free. No one owns you. The bank doesn't own you. The credit card companies don't own you. Other ideas is monthly payments are normal. We have been encoded, and yes, we're going to end those monthly payments. And your home is a tax saving myth. We've already talked about that. It's not, because your standard deduction will actually make more than what you write off in your interest. And the idea that you need someone to invest for you, we'll talk about that next section. In reality, most financial advisors do not do as well as if you just put in the S&P 500 and left it alone. This idea of retirement. Well, maybe I should start, putting money toward my retirement and then wait to pay off, the house and whatever. And so they fund their retirement. In this case, for example, they're going to take that $500 instead of pay off debt. They'll pay off the house over many years. During that time, and at 10%, that extra 500 each month, they put 500. They really only, come up with 1,140,000 versus basically if they paid off the debt and everything was dead, then they took that 2698, which is left over, and fund their retirement, they'd have actually more than double. So instead of $1,140,000, if they waited, paid off their debt, they'd have over twice as much in the retirement plan. So it's just a fallacy to keep you in debt forever. Buying a home actually may not be your best investment today. Now, I know a lot of you have a home, and that's fine. You probably got it when it was actually cheaper than it is now. But I know everyone thinks they need a home. But in reality, most Americans move every 7 years, and it's not really actually worth owning a home because of all the things. We'll talk about that in just a few minutes here. So right now, what you have to realize, prices of homes have skyrocketed, and they're really probably overvalued. So when you buy a home now, when you try to sell it, if you have to move from it, then what's going to happen, you're going to take a hit and lose money on it. A home generates many ongoing expenses versus you renting someplace, including the mortgage interest is that can be, double your price. Property taxes, when you rent, you don't have that. Insurance, maintenance, all that is if you're renting, you don't worry about that. A home is not a liquid asset, by the way. If you need money quickly, it's hard sometimes in some cases to basically sell your home. And there are a lot of high closing costs when you do. Home appreciation is lower than investments, such as paying off debt. So if I can get 100% return on my money versus an appreciation of 5%, I'll take the 100% by paying off debt. From 1980 to 2004, homes increased in value about 247%. But the S&P 500 increased over 1,000%. I do believe owning a home, but what I'm saying is owning a home, not the bank owning a home and taking all your money for the rest of your life. A lot of people, they say, well, we can refinance at a lower interest rate, and what they do, they refinance at a lower interest rate, but then go back to a 30-year mortgage, which means they're making actually more money in interest. You don't need to own your home to become wealthy. Matter of fact, in this process, you could rent for 20 years and then basically pay cash for any house that you wanted if you invested correctly and used your money that way. If you own a home right now, then pay off the mortgage quickly, because the best return on your money is, and guaranteed return on your money, is forced savings and paying off your home. This really actually becomes a forced savings plan, and actually having a home is a way of protecting yourself against inflation. The average American moves every 7 years. By then, if you have a 30-year mortgage, you only paid off 11% of the home, because remember, most of the money at the beginning goes to the bank. Then a new mortgage begins all over again at 100% when you move. So for example, over those 7 years here, the principal you paid is $25,000 toward owning the house, but you gave the banks $80,000 in interest that you'll never see. Of the total $106,000, only $25,000 went to pay for the house. And then there are additional costs, maybe 7% in sales commission when you sell the house, maybe $10,000 in home improvement during that time that you've spent, plus maybe $5,000 in closing costs in that. And basically, you're actually a negative $5,000. So it's better just actually to rent, especially in some high areas where the housing market is really high and you barely have trouble getting a house that's reasonable and that you can pay off in 15 years. Cost of owning a home, of course, you have the down payment money, closing costs, mortgage interest, insurance, maintenance, association fees if you're in a little area that requires them, property taxes, real estate commissions when you sell. All these things are costs of owning a home. So before just jumping in because, yes, I need to own my own home, I want you to think of the possibilities. There are probably some great homes that you can rent and let the owner handle all the insurance, the maintenance things that you would have to be paying yourself. You need to look at when you buy a house that you can pay off within 5 to 10 years. You want to look at a house. Never spend more than 16 to 20% of your gross income on housing. That includes the mortgage, the payment, the property tax, insurance, and any maintenance, which actually eliminates a lot of people from owning a house. And it's okay. When you learn how to invest properly in dividend paying stocks, your money will grow much faster than ever owning a house. The more expensive the house, you're going to be paying more property tax, more home maintenance, more yard, upgrading to meet the lifestyles of the people around you, and then community dues. So things to think about home. Why spenders actually really want to be debt free. Because number one, remember 2/3 of your money goes to debt. Now they have 3 times as much money to spend. So if you have a spender in the family, let them know we're going to focus on getting out debt, then you have 3 times the amount of money. But the good news is if he really focuses on paying off debt, he'll end up actually being a saver or a spender or vice versa. You have 3 times as much money you spend on stuff. No longer will you pay that 100 to 400% interest on your house. You'll make over 100% guaranteed return every time you pay extra to your house. 2/3 of what you make now goes to the bank. How does that feel? Actually, debt can destroy relationships, and money can destroy relationships. So if you both can get on board and focus on eliminating all these headaches that debt causes you, it would be a good idea. And it becomes a way for you truly to have personal freedom. A lot of us, and and I've made many of these mistakes over time, is really the first thing is failure to stop and find out what makes you happy. It's probably not going to the store and buying something. It's usually in relationships and connection with family members or friends, instead of trying to buy your way to find a place to be happy. Lack of financial knowledge, and I'm going to give you financial game plan in this presentation and show you where you can read more about how you can understand how to invest on your own and be very successful, which I will cover in the next section. These ideas of getting rich scheme, I've known so many people that have lost their entire savings by thinking they could try to get rich by going with something like limited partnerships and things like that they know nothing about. Listening to investment advisor or investing in a 401k other than a retirement plan until you're debt free. So basically, that is a mistake. And now, yes, if your company offers you a 401 matching plan where the money you put in, they will match at 100%, then yes, I would try to be in a plan that's at least a Roth IRA, not a regular IRA. Trying to avoid paying taxes, basically writing off your interest payments, this idea we've already talked about. Pay your taxes. You actually want to pay more taxes than anyone. You don't want to give the government any bonus money, but that means actually you're making more money than anyone. Limited partnerships are a mistake. Buying too big of a house, buying a vacation home or a large boat. I mean, basically rent them, especially when, or have a friend that has a large boat. I've had many large boats, but I've never owned any of them. And pay the fees for the gas and things like that. Buying a timeshare, this is crazy. I have a lot, by the way. I'm trying to get rid of them. That's very difficult. You can go to vacationrentalbyowner.com and find some of the best places, including timeshares, all over the country, and not pay these, be locked into timeshare. You can't sell those things. Actually, you have to pay people to take them. And those that own them know that. Leasing anything, like a car or whatever, is a waste of money. Buying annuities, never buy them. It's another waste of money. Lending money, unless especially to family. Remember, when you lend money to family, it's a gift. They're going to end up getting it completely. Co-signing a loan, they always say a co-signer is a fool with a pen. And that may even be with your children, by the way. I would not do that. Starting another business. Basically, a lot of people, I'll try this business, I'll open another shop here. No, make your business so incredible where it's at that you can stay in one place. So I would not do that. Losing large sums of money through, trying to get rich schemes. Getting a divorce, do whatever it takes to make it work. Now, if you really are in a toxic relationship, I probably recommend doing it. You need to gain your freedom. It's still worth whatever it is. But getting divorced is, I've known a lot of people have had a lot of successful marriages and they're actually all broke. Not getting a prenuptial agreement. If you have assets and you're going into a relationship, I would look at a good prenup agreement. Remember, if you already have it made and you focus on this, there's no need to risk it. And so we'll set you up a game plan where you can invest your money safely and well. And that's the next segment we're going to talk about is safe investment and retirement planning. And I look forward to seeing you at that next presentation.